welcome to A Story of Sorts, the podcast mostly about bookish stuff. I'm Karina, and on today's episode, I will be taking you on a short tour of my long-to-be-read to talk about the books I'm most excited to read next. Let's go! Since the confinement began, I've been bringing a lot of books home because for a while the library was closed and I haven't been going to the center of town that much. Since I'm working at the bookstore, I obviously stumble upon a lot of books that I want to read. So I have a super cute library card from IKEA for all the books that I haven't read yet, and when I finish one book, I usually pick another from there. The problem is with this that I keep adding new books to it at a speed that doesn't keep up with the speed I am reading books, which is pretty much every bookworm's problem. So, because I've been trying to read more diversely and I am now organizing a diversity book club with a friend, a lot of newer books are taking priority and I'm honestly pretty fine with that. I've also been trying to read at least one Dutch book a month, because I need to keep improving my Dutch. And of course, I always listen to audiobooks when I cycle to work, so I'll also be making an episode soon on the audiobooks I've listened to so far this year, since I've been mostly talking about books in print here. If you're looking for new reads yourself, I hope that this list will inspire you to pick something up. For me, well, I find it a very solid list. So let's get to it. The Henna Wars by Adiba, Jaigirdar. This is a rom-com about two teenage girls who become rivals when each decides to create a henna business for a school competition. Nishat is a Muslim girl and she comes out to her parents, but it doesn't go so well with them. So she tries to hide who she is, but it becomes quite complicated to do so when she falls in love with her business rival, Flavia. The book also talks about cultural appropriation, and the author is, like me, a contributor to Book Riot, and she's super nice, so I'm really curious about this one. Felix Ever After by Kacen Calender. I spoke about this book here before. It took ages to arrive in the Netherlands, but I've been drooling over it, and it's gorgeous cover even before the release. Felix, the main character, is trans, black, and queer, and he has never been in love. Things at school get a bit complicated when he starts receiving anonymous transphobic messages, leading Felix to enter a journey to discover love, especially self-love. Dominicana by Angie, Cruz. The main character of this story, Anna, is 15 when a man twice her age proposes to her and promises to take her to New York City. Anna sees in this an opportunity to help her close family, but once in New York, she feels abandoned and she decides to escape. At the bus station, she's convinced to stay by her brother-in-law, and as her husband leaves to take care of business in the Dominican Republic, Anna finally finds that she conquers some freedom and starts imagining new possibilities for her life. I bought this one a while ago, maybe last month or so. Haven't yet gotten to it, but I'm really interested in reading it. Girl, Women, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. From all the titles here, this has been on my to be read the longest, and I bought it also because it had so many good reviews, especially after Evaristo won the Booker Prize. There are 12 central characters and it is a very diverse book, so I'm curious to see how all these 12 stories intersect. Loveless by Oseman. I have never read a book with a romantic character, so when this popped up at work, I snatched it immediately. It's an own voices book, and if any of you has any recommendations of books with asexual or aromantic characters, please feel free to send them my way, because I have never read any books with a sexual or aromantic representation. Own voices, please, if possible. The Vanishing Half by Brit, Bennett. We had this book on the store for like 3 weeks or so now, and yesterday I finally caved in and brought it home, especially because it's a book I'd like to bring to the diversity book club I mentioned. It has a lovely cover too, and it talks about two twin black sisters who run away from a small American village. One of them eventually returns to her hometown, but the other has started a new life where she passes as white, and no one knows anything about her past life. Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. This is another book about sisters, two half-sisters to be more specific, who are born in the 18th century Ghana. The book is told in two threads, one following Efia and the other following Essie, and continues to tell their stories across generations. Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. This book also has a gorgeous pink cover, and although I heard different reviews about it, some very positive and others not so much, I decided to give it a try. The book is described as a Bridget Jones meets Americana, and although I haven't yet read any of these books, I've seen Bridget Jones movies, I know I'm going into the book now trying to figure out how these two things can be true. Queenie is a Jamaican British woman living in London, and she struggles with things most women struggle during their 20s. Career, relationship, basically our place in the modern world, or the place that people think we should have in the modern world. I must say that the ones I want to start with right now are the Henna Wars and Felix Ever After. I'm not even sure why, but there is still a poll on my book club to vote on next month's reading, which includes one of the books mentioned, so that may change. As for the Dutch books I mentioned, I'll probably be reading Meisjesmanifest next, which is a book about something that really speaks to me, the rights of young girls and the pressures society puts on us and the ways it expects us to behave. It's a young adult fiction story, and I have also Dear Martin to read in Dutch, so that will be the next one. Of course, at the pace I've been reading lately, there's a high chance I'll still be talking about wanting to read the same books next year, but no pressure. If you have read any of these books, or if they are also on your to be read, come and talk to me about them. I'm mostly active on Instagram under A Story of Sorts, but there's also a Twitter account for the podcast under the same name. If you want a list of all the books I've talked about today, you can find them on the show's notes. To finalize, allow me to do some self-promotion. I have decided that alongside writing for Book Riot, I'm going to try and do more freelance work. So I have created a profile on Fiverr with some writing gigs. If you need translation from English to Portuguese and vice versa, editing or revision, summary and rewriting, or if you need someone to write your blog posts, I've got you covered. You can find the link to my Fiverr profile and all of my social media on linktree/Karina Pereira. If you have enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'd really appreciate some feedback. The podcast will, as usual, be returning in 2 weeks for another episode of Wrecked, the bonus episode where I either recommend a book or I wreck it. I'll talk to you then.